Hi, everyone, and welcome. Today I have a Mother's Day card that uses my favorite technique, heat embossing on vellum. And it's a pretty simple card, but I think it packs a lot of punch because of the beautiful stamp set that I'm using along with the vellum. And I was inspired by this stamp set from Pink Fresh Studio called Full Bloom. And I also really like this light purple cardstock from Cut Cardstock called Light Purple, and it's from their basis cardstock collection. And I thought I would make a card combining two of these products. So I'm starting off with a piece of clear Curious translucent cardstock, also from Cut Cardstock, and it's an actually very thick vellum. It's really nice for a project like this. And I'm using my Misty to stamp the full bloom image onto the vellum using some Versamark ink and my magic powder bag. And I'm just going to make sure I get ink all over the stamp set because it's very, very large. And I'm just going to really press down and make sure I get all the ink all over where it needs to go. And what I usually do is when I lift up the piece of paper or vellum, I kind of look in the light and make sure that I covered all the areas with the ink. And then I'm using some white filigree embossing powder from Paper Tray Ink to sprinkle over the front of the stamped image. And I will heat that up with my heat gun, and then I'm going to be cutting it out with my scissors. So what I like to do when I heat emboss vellum is heat from behind. That way you tend to not accidentally burn the front of your image. I've done that before where you kind of brown the front of the vellum because you're really getting right on top of the heat or the powder, embossing powder. So I start from behind and then I kind of go towards the front and just kind of finish off making sure I get all the areas, and again checking the light to make sure that you heat embossed everything. And then I'm just using my scissors and cutting around the image, leaving a little bit of a shadow of vellum just to kind of show you that it's vellum. I think that adds a nice touch to it. And I love cutting stamped images out on vellum. It's so easy to do and you really can't make a mistake. So all I do is I turn the paper rather than turn my scissors. So I turn my paper with my left hand and then I just cut with my scissors. And I just cut the entire image out. And this is just going to be my main focal point on the front of my card. And what's really nice with this heat embossing on vellum is you could also use markers on the back of it to add color too. But I just liked the purple cardstock so much, I just wanted that to kind of shine through. So I'm using some dies from Cat Scrappiness called Wonky Wavy Stitched Rectangles. And they just add a nice little detail along the edge of the purple card panel that I made. So I use that to cut out the card panel, and I'm just using a folded white note card, also from Cut Cardstock. And I'm just going to place the purple piece right on the front there. And that'll be my background. And then to add the vellum piece, I'm going to use some 3D glue dots. And these are glue dots that are kind of raised. And they're nice because they're clear, so you can easily cut them apart and have them fit to where you need to have them fit. And what I'm doing is just kind of placing little pieces behind some areas of the flowers where they won't tend to show through. And you really can't see them. They're pretty invisible. So I just try to get it all over the middle and the edges of the flower piece. And then I'll just place it in the middle of the card. So I have my focal point there. And next I'm just going to add a simple sentiment. And I'm using the stamp set that I use all the time from Lawn Fawn. It's an older stamp set called Happy, Happy, Happy. And it has all kinds of sentiments for different holidays and occasions. And I'm choosing the cursive happy along with Mother's Day. And I'm just going to line that up on a piece of plain white cardstock onto my Misty. And I'll stamp that with some black Hero Arts ink. And then I'll just trim it out to a rectangle using my paper trimmer. And I'm going to try to trim it pretty close so that there's not much white space on the rectangle, because I'm just going to be tucking it into the corner of the bottom of my card. So now that's ready to go. And then I'm going to add some regular adhesive, some adhesive tape, and then I'm also going to add a couple of pieces of foam squares to the right side of the sentiment rectangle, because part of it's going to be sitting on top of the raised flower panel, and then parts, so you need to have it even. So that's what the foam dots are for. So that kind of makes sure that the sentiment piece is evenly placed on the front of the card. And then I have some enamel dots, and I thought yellow would be really pretty with the purple, so I'm just adding a couple. Tuck one under the sentiment rectangle, and then I'm going to add a couple over the top of the happy, and it kind of draws your eye in towards the sentiment, the way the enamel dots are moving. And that's it for my card. It's very simple, but I really love the way the heat embossing looks with the translucent vellum. And it's a very beautiful soft purple color too, and I think everything just goes together really nicely. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you in my next video.